Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. There is one emotion that Machiavelli said will destroy your power faster than weakness, faster than fear, and even faster than love. An emotion so subtle that most people don't even realize they're expressing it. An emotion that immediately reveals your vulnerabilities, exposes your intentions, and hands control of your mind to anyone smart enough to see it. This emotion is not anger, it's not sadness, it's not fear, it is frustration. Frustration is the silent confession that you are losing control. And Machiavelli believed that the man who shows frustration is a man who can be manipulated. Let me take you back to where this idea was carved into history. In The Prince, Machiavelli says, "A prince must always appear composed, for loss of composure invites contempt, and contempt invites rebellion." He wasn't just talking about kings. He was talking about you. Your relationships, your social world, your enemies, your work, your life. Because frustration is not merely an emotion, it is an announcement. When you show frustration, you're telling the world you are overwhelmed, you are off balance, you are losing command, you are emotionally influenced by events outside your control, and you are reacting, not leading. Frustration is the billboard that reveals your internal chaos, and the moment your internal chaos becomes visible, you lose leverage. Machiavelli believed that your internal weather must always stay hidden, not because emotions are bad, but because others weaponize what you show. Think about it. When you get frustrated in an argument, the other person pushes harder. When you show frustration at work, people doubt your leadership. When you show frustration in relationships, others feel superior, or they pull away. When you show frustration in negotiation, you give away your desperation. Frustration becomes a map to your weaknesses, and a map makes you predictable. Predictability makes you controllable. Here's something most people don't know. Frustration is never about what is in front of you. It is about what is inside you. Frustration comes from a perceived loss of power, a feeling that reality is slipping away from your expectations. Psychologically, frustration happens when reality doesn't obey your timeline, when people don't behave the way you want, when you can't force outcomes, when you feel blocked, unseen, unheard, or when your ego feels threatened. Frustration is the echo of helplessness, and helplessness is the one thing Machiavelli believed a powerful person must never reveal. Weakness can be tolerated. Sadness can be forgiven. Anger can be understood, but frustration is the emotion that says, "You're getting to me. You're affecting me. You're in control." It signals emotional instability, pressure, and a breaking point. That is why Machiavelli treated frustration as the most dangerous emotion a person can reveal. Because frustration is not strength, it is not dominance, it is not power. Frustration is surrender, disguised as emotion. Now imagine someone who wants an advantage over you, someone who competes with you, someone who envies you, someone who dislikes you. Do you know what they watch for? Not your wins, not your strengths, not even your calm. They watch for the tiny cracks, the micro-expressions, the flickers of emotion, especially your frustration. Because your frustration tells them everything. Where you're sensitive, where you're insecure, what buttons can be pushed, where your patience ends, what situations overwhelm you, and what you desperately want but can't get. An enemy doesn't need to defeat you. He only needs to frustrate you until you defeat yourself. This is why Machiavelli said, "The one who masters his countenance masters his enemies. Your face, your reaction, your tone, your breath. These micro-signals are more powerful than any word you speak. Modern psychology backs this up. Frustration is the emotion most associated with losing negotiation power, losing respect in conflict, and losing dominance in social interactions. Why? Because frustration shows you are reactive, not strategic. And reactive people can be led. Machiavelli believed that every powerful person wears a mask, not a mask of deception, but a mask of self-command. The powerful person is not emotionless. They feel, they burn, they struggle. But they do not show what weakens their position. This doesn't make them fake, it makes them aware. To a Machiavellian mind, your face is a battlefield, your expression is a shield, and your reaction is a sword. And frustration? Frustration is dropping your shield in the middle of the fight. It invites attack. It invites disrespect. It invites manipulation. Because the moment you show you are frustrated, others instinctively feel above you. You become the one who is emotionally off-center, the one who is losing grip, the one who is affected. Power belongs to the person who remains unshaken. There is a reason calm people are intimidating. When someone stays calm under pressure, you start to wonder, do they know something I don't? When someone shows no frustration, you begin to respect them without even realizing it. Calmness is not weakness, it is superiority. Because calmness comes from inner certainty, from emotional maturity, from psychological discipline. When Machiavelli advised princes to hide their frustration, he wasn't endorsing coldness, he was endorsing control. And control is the root of power. The more control you have over yourself, the more control you have over any situation. Frustration breaks that. Let me give you a simple scene. Two men walk into a negotiation. Man A feels threatened, pressured, insecure. He shows signs of frustration, shifting posture, raised voice, tightened jaw. The other side sees it instantly. They push harder, they delay, they confuse him, they let him melt. He loses. Man B walks in, calm, unreadable. No frustration, no cracks, no loss of composure. His silence creates tension. His calm creates strength. His neutrality creates psychological gravity. The other side worries. What does he know? Why is he unfazed? What is his leverage? He gains control without speaking. This is the Machiavellian advantage. Frustration gives away your position. Calm keeps it hidden. Machiavelli's warning is simple. Never show frustration. When you show frustration, you show where your mind can be controlled. The powerful remain composed. The weak are exposed by their reactions. Frustration is not just an emotion, it is a signal, and signals shape power. Now, if part 1 revealed what frustration exposes, this next layer reveals how it silently destroys your influence in every area of life, even when you don't notice it happening. Because frustration doesn't simply communicate weakness, it restructures how people view you, how they treat you, and how they respond to you. Machiavelli understood one brutal truth. People do not follow the frustrated. They follow the unshakable. In psychology, we call it frame, the mental position from which you interpret reality. The person with the stronger frame defines the situation. The person with the weaker frame reacts to it. When someone frustrates you, you leave your frame and step into theirs. You are no longer the actor. you become the reactor. Machiavelli wrote, "He who takes the first step in anger loses the next 6 in strategy." Frustration does this even more severely. Anger can sometimes look powerful. Confidence can still look arrogant. Sadness can still look human. But frustration? Frustration looks like you have lost your narrative.
Frame is leadership. Frustration is surrender. The moment another person sees your frame collapse, they instantly realize they can bend you, pressure you, and shape your reactions. And once they know this, they never forget it. Frustration also makes you predictable. Machiavelli said, "The predictable man is the most vulnerable." The predictable man becomes a machine with buttons. Push one button, he reacts. Push another, he breaks. Frustration reveals your buttons to the world. People quickly learn what irritates you, what overwhelms you, who can get under your skin, what scenarios break your calm, what words trigger you, and what situations expose your insecurity. They store this information. Later, they use it. Frustration turns you into a puppet whose strings are visible. A Machiavellian mind hides its strings. A frustrated mind hands them over. In group dynamics, frustration creates social dominance loss. When you show frustration, people perceive you as overwhelmed. Overwhelm looks like lower competence. Lower competence becomes lower status. Lower status leads to less respect. And with less respect, your influence drops. That's why frustrated leaders lose trust. Frustrated parents lose authority. Frustrated partners lose emotional leverage. Frustrated sellers lose negotiation positioning. Frustrated friends lose admiration. People may still like you, they may still support you, but they trust you less. Frustration signals low capacity, and low capacity signals low power. Machiavelli insisted, "Appear calm in all tempests, for men fear storms, but follow the lighthouse." If you want people to follow you, you must look like the lighthouse, not the storm. Here's a brutal truth. When you show frustration, many people, without even meaning to, lose respect for you. Not because they're cruel, not because they're toxic, but because frustration says, "I can't handle pressure. I am losing control. I am not stable. I am not in command." Humans instinctively pull away from instability. Even a child will test a frustrated parent more. Even a dog responds better to calm commands than frustrated ones. Frustration makes you look less grounded, and people respect groundedness more than correctness. Machiavelli wrote, "The man who cannot govern himself cannot govern men." To govern yourself is to govern your expression, and frustration is the clearest sign you have lost self-governance. People may forgive you, but a small part of their perception shifts permanently. And here's what most people never realize. Your frustration empowers the very people who undermine you. To an opponent, your frustration is confirmation. Good, I'm getting to him. He's cracking. He's losing balance. He doesn't have control. He's threatened. He's insecure. They become energized when you show frustration, because your frustration communicates that you feel cornered, pressured, emotionally invested, and therefore weaker and reachable. Your enemy regains enthusiasm precisely when you lose composure. Machiavelli said, "Never show the enemy the wound, even if the sword still lies within it." Frustration is the wound. Even when your situation is painful, confusing, or overwhelming,
Revealing frustration gives your enemy the exact information they need to tighten the blade. In negotiation, frustration is fatal.
Every negotiation, business, personal, relational, depends on perceived power. The frustrated person raises their voice, talks too fast, becomes emotionally reactive, shows desperate body language, interrupts more, argues without strategy, discloses too much, accepts bad deals, apologizes unnecessarily, and tries to force outcomes. That is the behavior of someone losing mental positioning. In negotiation, the person who wants it less always wins more. But frustration reveals, I want something I'm not getting, and that alone weakens you. Machiavelli wrote, "He who shows hunger is fed crumbs." When you show frustration in negotiation, you are showing hunger, and hungry men are given scraps, not respect. Psychologists call frustration a secondary emotion. It comes from something deeper. It's often the cover for fear of losing control, fear of being disrespected, fear of being unseen, fear of failure, fear of inadequacy. But when you show frustration, you are not expressing strength. You are confessing fear without saying a word. This is why the most powerful people stay calm, even under pressure, even in chaos, even when they are burning inside, because they know frustration is emotional surrender disguised as strength. Frustration also kills attraction, romantic, social, and professional. It signals lack of control, lack of emotional intelligence, lack of maturity, lack of restraint. People feel uncomfortable, pressured, unsafe, unsure of you, and quietly turned off. A person who is emotionally unpredictable creates tension, not trust. Machiavelli knew this long before modern psychology. He wrote, "Men follow the man who governs himself, for he governs the world." If you cannot govern your frustration, you cannot govern your relationships. Composure is the sign of inner security. Inner security is the root of dominance. Frustration exposes insecurity. The moment you show frustration, your breathing becomes shallow, your voice shaky, your eyes unfocused, your gestures erratic, your posture weak, your energy chaotic. Others feel it, even if they can't explain it. You become psychologically small. Composure is king. Frustration is exile. People forgive mistakes. They forgive losses. They forgive imperfections. But frustration? People quietly judge it, because frustration looks like emotional immaturity, and emotional immaturity is the opposite of leadership. So where does that leave you? The frustrated man thinks he is expressing power, but he is actually expressing reactivity, and reactivity is controlled by outside forces. If someone can push your buttons, they own your state, and the one who owns your state owns you. This is why the powerful remain calm, because the calm man is the master of the moment. The frustrated man is the slave of it. So how do you change this? How do you remove frustration from your expression, your behavior, and your energy, even when you feel it burning inside? Machiavelli didn't believe in eliminating emotion. He believed in containing it, because the man who can contain emotion can control outcomes. It starts with speed. Every expression of frustration begins with speed. Your thoughts jump, your breathing shortens, your responses quicken, your eyes dart, your gestures get sharp. The more rushed you feel inside,
the more frustration leaks outside. So you slow everything down internally. Quietly, subtly, not on your face, but in your mind. A frustrated person reacts in real time. A powerful person stretches time in their mind. That tiny half-second delay between feeling and reacting, that's the difference between a reaction and a decision. Frustration is reactive. Calm is deliberate. You also change the way you breathe. Most people, when frustrated, exhale through their mouth. It's a signal of overwhelm. It softens the jaw, loosens the lips, collapses the posture, and instantly reveals your emotional state. So you never exhale frustration through your mouth, only through your nose. A nose breath is disciplined. A mouth breath is emotional. That one change alone can make you look dramatically more composed. Then comes the face. Your face is a traitor. It leaks frustration before you feel it fully. So you use what I call the neutral face rule. Your eyebrows don't jump. Your lips don't tighten. Your jaw doesn't push forward. Your head doesn't shake. You express nothing that gives your power away. Not coldness, control. Most people tense their forehead and their mouth. You relax both. The neutral face is not emotionless. It is unreadable. And in the language of power, unreadable means unattackable. You remove urgency from your voice. Frustration speaks fast and loud. Calm speaks slow and controlled. The more frustrated you feel, the slower you speak. Not theatrically, just slightly. A slow voice sends one message: I am still in command. People stop noticing your frustration because your voice contradicts it. Your voice becomes camouflage for your inner world. You stop volunteering explanations. The frustrated person tries to explain, defend, justify, react, correct, prove. The more you over-explain, the more obvious it is that you're emotionally off-center. Calm people don't fight to be understood. Frustrated people do. When you stop chasing understanding, your frustration loses its stage. Your silence becomes intimidating. Your simplicity becomes powerful. You also learn the pause of power. A 1 or 2 second pause before you respond hides emotional spikes, gives you time to recover your frame, and creates psychological tension in the other person. Most people can't handle silence. They start talking, they reveal themselves. But a calm person uses silence as a weapon. The frustrated man fills it. The powerful man owns it. You never defend your emotions. When someone says, "You seem irritated," the worst thing you can say is, "No, I'm fine," in a reactive tone. That defensive denial confirms everything. The Machiavellian answer is simple. Not at all. No heat, no spike, just a calm dismissal. The topic dies there. They can't read you. They can't pull you into an emotional frame. When you're frustrated, your body wants to move, fidgeting, shifting, tapping, shaking your head. You stop all of it. Power is stillness. Stillness in chaos looks unnatural, and that's why people perceive it as strength. Frustration moves. Dominance stays. You also stop emotionally needing outcomes. Frustration is tied to desire. You want something from a person, a situation, an argument, the world. When you want too much, frustration exposes your hunger, and hunger makes you weak. Machiavelli said, "Desire makes the prince predictable." So you detach emotionally from the outcome. You act, but you do not appear invested. The less you need, the harder you are to control. The man who doesn't need anything cannot be manipulated. You control your eyes. Frustrated people blink fast, look away quickly, squint, widen their eyes. You instead use slow blinks, steady gaze, soft eyelids. Not creepy, not hyper-intense, just anchored. Your eyes quietly say, "I see everything. Nothing moves me." And then, on a deeper level, you build an internal iron wall. You imagine a wall behind your face. Your frustration may rise, but it never crosses that wall. The world sees only the steel, never the storm. That is emotional compartmentalization, the ability to separate what you feel from what you show. Emotional containment becomes emotional authority. You also embrace tactical ambiguity. The more emotionally predictable you are, the less power you have. So you stop broadcasting every internal state. You are not overly angry, not overly cheerful. You are stable, neutral, a blank canvas people can project onto but cannot read clearly. That ambiguity keeps you in control of the frame. And something strange happens when you master these techniques. People treat you differently. They respect you more. They stop pushing your buttons. Arguments tilt in your favor. Negotiations become easier. Enemies hesitate. Friends become careful. Partners become more attentive. Strangers become more cautious. They can't read you. They can't provoke you. They can't dominate you. They sense power, control, psychological strength. Machiavelli believed the calm man becomes an island others fear to invade. Frustration makes you an open door. Calm makes you a fortress. And that fortress is built from the inside out. By now you understand the warning Machiavelli left behind. Most people are not broken by life itself. They are broken by their reaction to it. And there is one reaction that destroys power the fastest: frustration. Not anger, not sadness, not fear, frustration. Because frustration reveals something far deeper than emotion. It reveals your threshold. It reveals how easily you can be moved. You are not meant to simply control frustration on your face. You are meant to outgrow it. The person who cannot be provoked is the person who cannot be controlled. And the person who cannot be controlled is the one the world begins to follow. People will always test you. They push to see what you can't control, because once they see your limits, they see where your power ends. When you stay calm, they are forced to guess. And when they guess, they respect. Every provocation becomes training. A Machiavellian mind doesn't say, "Why is this happening to me?" It says, "How can this strengthen me?" Every attempt to provoke you sharpens your discipline, your emotional muscle, your psychological edge. Frustration turns into a forge. Each test makes you harder to move. Each calm response makes you harder to decode. Frustration is the ego's reaction to a world that refuses to obey it. Powerful people detach from ego-driven expectations. They build an inner room where nothing can reach, insult, or provoke. That inner room is the sovereign mind, a mind that governs itself first, and by doing that, quietly governs everything else. And finally, power lives in what you do not show. What you show, you give away. What you hide, you control. When you hide frustration, people cannot read you, manipulate you, push you off center, or predict your reactions. Your calm becomes a weapon. Your silence becomes a shield. Your neutrality becomes a throne. People follow the one who stays in control when everyone else collapses. That is why Machiavelli warned, never show the emotion that reveals your breaking point. Never show frustration, because the man who cannot be provoked becomes a force the world cannot bend. If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to become mentally unshakable, take a second and like this video so it reaches more people who need it. And tell me in the comments, what emotion do you struggle to hide the most? Your answer might be the one thing someone else needed to hear today. And yes, I read every comment. This is the path to becoming psychologically untouchable. Begin it today.